Every Athenian citizen could speak directly to the government and vote on every issue. No elections for most positions. Officials were chosen by lottery, and participation wasn't optional. It was mandatory civic duty. Ancient Athens practiced the world's most direct form of democracy. Today, we're revealing how it actually worked. Before we discover how Athenian democracy really functioned, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We're exploring ancient civilizations every week. Let's dive in. When we think of democracy, we think of elections. Voting for representatives who make decisions on our behalf. That's representative democracy. But ancient Athens worked completely differently. From approximately 460 to 320 BCE, Athens practiced direct democracy. Every male citizen directly participated in government, not through representatives, not through elected officials, but personally attending assemblies and voting on every issue. The word democracy itself comes from Greek, demos meaning the people, and kratos meaning rule. Rule by the people. And the Athenians took this literally. Today, we're exploring exactly how this revolutionary system worked, its surprising features, its limitations, and why it was so radically different from modern democracy. Who could participate? The citizen. Question. First, we need to understand who qualified as a citizen in ancient Athens. This is where Athenian democracy differs dramatically from modern ideals. Only free adult males born to Athenian parents could be citizens. After reforms by Pericles in 450 BCE, both parents had to be Athenian citizens. This meant the following groups were excluded: women, regardless of Athenian birth; children under 18 years old; metics, meaning foreign residents living in Athens; and enslaved people. These restrictions meant that only 10 to 20% of Athens' population could actually participate in government. Out of a total population around 300,000, approximately 30,000 to 60,000 were male citizens. By modern standards, this seems incredibly restrictive, but compared to other ancient governments, oligarchies, and monarchies, it was remarkably inclusive. In aristocracies, only wealthy nobles participated. In oligarchies, only a small elite group ruled. Athens allowed any citizen, regardless of wealth or social class, to participate fully in government. A farmer had the same political rights as a wealthy merchant. That was revolutionary for the time. The assembly, direct democracy in action. The heart of Athenian democracy was the Ekklesia, the assembly. This was where all major decisions happened. The assembly met at least 40 times per year. Some historians suggest meetings happened 2 or 3 times monthly. They gathered on a hill called the Nix, west of the Acropolis. This outdoor space could accommodate approximately 6,000 citizens. Any citizen could attend. There was no seniority system, no special qualifications needed. You simply showed up.
And here's what made it truly direct democracy. Any citizen could speak to the assembly. You would approach the tribune, place a myrtle wreath on your head, and address your fellow citizens.
Everyone then voted by simply raising their hands. The majority decided the outcome, and that decision was final. What did they vote on? Everything. Declarations to go into conflict or make peace, passing new laws or revising existing ones, approving treaties with foreign powers, deciding public spending, granting citizenship to foreigners, even judging the conduct of public officials. Thucydides, the ancient historian, captured the Athenian attitude perfectly. He wrote that Athenians considered any citizen who didn't participate in politics not just someone who minded their own business, but useless. Political participation was civic duty. Sessions began in the morning and lasted until dark. Each meeting started with a religious sacrifice. Then a herald would proclaim a curse on anyone who might deceive the people. This wasn't just ceremony, it emphasized the sacred responsibility of truthful participation. The agenda had to be posted 5 days in advance. This gave citizens time to think about upcoming votes. It prevented hasty, unconsidered decisions.
Once assembled, each agenda item was read aloud.
Debate followed.
Amendments could be proposed from the floor.
Citizens argued their positions.
Then came the vote, the council, preparing the agenda. But who decided what the assembly would discuss? Enter the Boule, the Council of 500. This council prepared the assembly's agenda. 500 citizens served on this council for 1 year. But here's the extraordinary part. They weren't elected. They were chosen by lottery. This process was called sortition. Each of Athens' 10 tribes selected 50 council members by random draw. Why lottery instead of elections? The Athenians believed elections favored the wealthy, the eloquent, the well-connected. Lottery, they thought, was more democratic. It gave every citizen an equal chance to serve, and it prevented the emergence of a political class. The Council of 500 met daily. They prepared legislation for the assembly to vote on. They managed the city's finances. They oversaw magistrates and other officials. But they couldn't pass laws themselves. Only the assembly could do that. This created an important check on power. Within the council, leadership rotated constantly. The 500 members were divided into 10 groups of 50. Each group served as the executive committee for 1/10 of the year. That's about 35 to 36 days. And within each group, a different chairman served every single day. This meant approximately 10,000 different Athenians served as chairman over the democracy's lifespan. About half of all citizens would, at some point, hold what amounted to the highest executive office. For 1 day. Athenian democracy also revolutionized the legal system. The Dicksteria, the people's courts, heard legal cases. Juries in these courts were massive, typically 201 citizens for private cases, 501 citizens for public cases. Sometimes juries reached 1,000 or even 6,000 citizens. And again, jurors were selected by lottery from all citizens over age 30. No professional judges, no legal experts, just ordinary citizens. Cases were argued by the parties themselves. No lawyers in the modern sense. Each side presented their case. Then jurors voted using an ingenious secret ballot system. Each juror received 2 stones, one solid, one with a hole through the middle. 2 urns sat before them. The juror would drop the stone representing his verdict in the first urn. He'd toss the unused stone in the second urn. No one watching could tell which stone went where. This protected jurors from intimidation or bribery. The Greek word for pebble is cephos. We get our English word cephology, the study of voting patterns, from this ancient practice. The Athenians had another unique democratic tool, ostracism. Once a year, the assembly could vote to exile any citizen for 10 years. No trial, no charges, no evidence of wrongdoing required. Just a vote. How did it work? Citizens scratched a name on a pottery shard called an ostracon. If 6,000 citizens voted and one person received a majority, that person was exiled. This wasn't punishment for actions taken, it was preventive. If someone became too powerful, too influential, too potentially dangerous to democracy, they could be removed. This protected Athens from tyranny, but it also created a way to eliminate political rivals without formal charges. Famous Athenians suffered ostracism, including Aristides the Just and Themistocles, hero of the Persian conflicts. Limitations and realities. Now let's address the system's major limitations. Direct democracy required enormous citizen participation. Attending 40 assemblies per year meant significant time away from work. Wealthy citizens could easily afford this. But poor citizens, especially farmers and laborers, struggled. To address this, Pericles introduced payment for participation. Citizens received a small wage for attending assembly meetings and serving on juries. This allowed poorer citizens to participate without financial hardship. It was one of history's first examples of paid civic service. But even with payment, the demands were intense. Ancient Athens expected citizens to be deeply involved. Library ambiance. Philosopher Eric Robinson notes that Greek writers didn't think elections were the most democratic method. They worried elections favored the wealthy and eloquent. They preferred lottery because it gave everyone equal opportunity. This is opposite to how we think today. We consider elections essential to democracy. The Athenians considered them aristocratic. Another limitation was the exclusion of women, medics, and enslaved people. By modern standards, this seems fundamentally undemocratic, and it absolutely was. Athenian democracy was a limited democracy, an experiment in self-government by a privileged minority. The philosophical justification was that only those born into the community who shared its values and traditions should govern it. We reject that reasoning today, but understanding it helps us see Athenian democracy in historical context. The legacy, influence on modern democracy. Despite its limitations, Athenian democracy influenced all future democratic thought. The concept of citizen participation, the idea that ordinary people, not just elites, can govern. Public debate and majority vote. Checks and balances between institutions. Accountability of officials. These principles shaped the Enlightenment thinkers who influenced modern democracy. John Stuart Mill and George Grote, British philosophers, studied Athens extensively. They argued that Athenian democracy demonstrated citizens could govern wisely when properly educated. They advocated for expanded voting rights in Britain based on Athenian precedent. The American founders also studied ancient Athens, though they rejected direct democracy in favor of representative democracy. They admired Athenian civic virtue and citizen engagement. Today, elements of direct democracy survive. Ballot initiatives and referendums in states like California. Town hall meetings in New England. Swiss cantons practicing semi-direct democracy. These echo Athenian practices. So Athenian democracy wasn't what most people think. It wasn't representative democracy with elections. It was direct democracy where every citizen voted on every issue. It used lottery, not elections, to choose most officials. It required intense participation as civic duty. It had massive juries deciding legal cases. It could exile citizens through ostracism to prevent tyranny, and it excluded most of the population from participation. It was both remarkably democratic for its time and severely limited by modern standards, but it proved that ordinary people could govern themselves, that democracy was possible, and that citizens, when engaged and educated, could make complex political decisions. Ancient Athens gave the world the concept that still guides democratic societies today: government by the people, for the people. Even if their version looked very different from ours. If this changed how you see democracy, hit that like button. Subscribe for more discoveries about ancient civilizations that shaped our modern world. What other ancient political systems should we explore? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. We read everyone and use them for future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.